This is a Two Front podcast.
You got a crooked smile, well that don't bother me much. You double over working double time, you double tough. I'll just shine it up until the sun hit like a glare. I gotta dare, get the fuck up out the chair.
Stephen Thorne disrupted a family tradition of dentists by choosing business school instead. After helping his dad's dental practice in 1989, Stephen realized that dentists desperately needed business support. So he wrote a business plan to build his own DSO. He's the founder and CEO of PDS Health, where he's revolutionizing dentistry through his group of over 1,000 practices, taking a prevention-first approach and one that helps patients recognize the links between oral and systemic health. He started by integrating Epic into his practices, which is no easy task. And he continues to live out his mission by adding predictive diagnostics into his exam. Stephen is the opposite of what many healthcare providers think of the business person getting into healthcare. He truly believes that preventing dental work should be more profitable than treating it. And he's a man with a plan. Oh, and did I mention that he generated over $3 billion last year? You won't want to miss this episode. Stephen Thorne, welcome to The Happy Dentist.
Oh, thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
So I'm really excited. This is a fire episode because, Steve, you are at the forefront of literally preventative healthcare in dentistry, which is something that we talk about all the time on The Happy Dentist, but it's really hard to actually action. You have done so many different things to actually action that, from working with Delta Dental of Arizona to get A1C actually reimbursed when you screen at PDS Health. You educate patients through your social platforms on the correlation between oral health and systemic health. And the part that really gets me is that you've been doing this since I was 1 year old.
You just aged me. Come on.
But it's super impressive. Like, I've been on this preventative healthcare journey for 10 years. And then when I saw you've been doing it since 1989, I was like, oh my God. Like,
but it wasn't always in that on the preventive journey since 1989. So we gotta clarify that, right?
Okay, so before we get into that, we've got to start off with your origin story. So tell us, how did your dad's computer crisis launch lead to this entire empire?
So my dad was practicing dentist full time and not that great of a businessman, but a good dentist. And he was forward thinking back then. So, I mean, he was doing implants in the 80s. Okay, so he was pretty proactive. And he saw the computer age coming, and he wanted to computerize his dental office. I was still going to school at UCLA. And he said, well, I was good on computers back then. I'd done some work. And he said, why don't you come computerize my office? I'll just pay you to do it. I had no intention of getting into dentistry at all. And so even before I graduated, I started installing this system in his office. And this is old. So you already talk about how old I am. You won't remember the IBM XPs, XTs, these big boxes that we had to do and Novell networking and all this stuff. But I had to figure all that out and then computerize his office and train his staff how to use it, which was even harder because back then nobody knew how to use a computer.
What year was that?
That was 1989.
Oh my God.
So my very first day, it's kind of a running joke in our company. My very first day in dentistry was April 1st, 1989, which in the U.S. is April Fool's Day. So
Wow.
did that, helped him out. And he goes, well, why don't you, because he was paying me $120 a day, 2 days a week to come in and train people and do it. He said, I kind of like you here. Why don't you work full time for me? So he offered me a job. So I went straight into that job market. I really wanted to go into private equity and that sort of deal, finance. That's what I was studying in school. And so it wasn't a good time for that. So I went to work for my dad, and his business doubled in about 6 months with me in there, just asking questions, poking around and doing stuff. And then it all went from there.
Steve, so when you came in, did you have this idea of saying like, hey, Dad, you just do dentistry and I'm going to do the back end stuff. I'm going to focus on the business. Was that how you thought?
No, not initially, but by 6 months or so into it, I started to figure that out. And I actually wrote a business plan. I'm a business guy, okay? So I actually have it still. The business plan of
Really?
1989 or 1990 for this gigantic DSO. I actually wrote the plan for it. But what happened was an office he had sold in Barstow, California. If you know where Barstow is, it's halfway between LA and Vegas.
That's where my favorite Del Taco is.
Yeah, favorite Del Taco,
It's
the old
the original Del
McDonald's,
Taco, I
right?
think, or something.
Yeah. So us SoCal guys, we all know where that is, right? And the guy he had sold it to bailed on it, and the bank held the note on it. They called my dad and said, "Hey, will you take it back? Just give it to you for the note." My dad didn't want to go to Barstow anymore. I was actually living in Corona.
Okay.
So you know how far of a drive that is.
Yep.
And so he took it back. He said, "Look, here's what we'll do. You go run it. I'll give you a shot. You fix it up. We'll get a dentist in there. We'll resell it, and I'll share some of the profits with you." And so that was my start. I had to figure it all out back then.
Wow.
You mentioned that at the beginning, 6 months, 1 year, you kind of doubled the business
Yeah,
of your
6
father.
months, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were the things that you think you did at that time that helped that happen?
So I realized that he was so busy and he was running around crazy. I said, "You got to bring on an associate." So I helped him interview and get an associate on, and now did that whole process. So that was key. And that doc ended up buying one of the other practices, so it all worked out. But we had to grow staff. You know, we had to add staff, and he did a lot of dentures back then. Okay, so you know about that. But it was just plain dentures, usually not implant retained or anything like that. So we had a dental lab in the practice, and just growing it.
You know, it sounds simple, but it's I'm here with my dad. He's a neurologist in Houston, Texas, and he is a clinician through and through, and that is exactly he's like, "I wanna sell my practice in 2 years." It's like, "Oh, cool, let's talk about this." First things first, like, what do we do? Hire an associate, right? Like, he's working so hard, and he has no idea how to hire this person. Not a clue where to look for them, how to put together a job description. He's done
Right.
everything himself his whole life. So it sounds simple, right? But it's actually so much harder than it sounds. Like, run a good process.
Now, before we talk about all the in-betweens, I just want to fast forward from you turning on a computer at your father's office in 1889,
1989.
1989, sorry, to now, how many practices do you manage now?
I don't know, about 1,100 plus or minus, something
And
like.
most are GPs, right?
Well, they're multi-specialty. So half our business is specialties, and now a growing medical business too. So we'll do about 3.2 billion to fast forward this year. About half of that will be specialties, about half will be GP, and then our growing medical business, it's growing pretty fast, actually. We had our best day ever in medical yesterday, by the way. And
Wow.
so
Congratulations.
yeah, thank you. And it is hard to what you said at the opening. It's really hard integrating this, but we're figuring it out. And I'll tell you that story. But yeah, we're fully integrated. We believe in bringing the docs to the patients. So that's why we've done specialty models, Christian, before, where we had a specialty center, and it can be more efficient in a way, but it's not as patient centric. So we believe the gatekeepers of primary care are GP dentists, pediatric dentists, and nurse practitioners, and MDs, DOs. They're the primary gatekeepers. If you look at the flow of patients in America, 85-90% of patients access their care that way. Sure, there's the orthodontics section, okay? I know, Ingrid. But, and so we view that as the gatekeepers, and they kind of control the flow from there.
You know that sinking feeling when the same patient keeps coming back for crown after crown? Yeah, we've all been there. Here's the thing. What if we could actually prevent all that mess with a simple bite correction? That's where we come in at Two Front. We handle the whole Invisalign process for you. I'm talking zero ClinChecks, zero lab bills, barely any chair time. Oh, and we take on the liability too. Your patient gets a healthy bite that'll save them thousands down the road. You get to be the hero who prevented years of dental drama. It's honestly a no-brainer. Check out Two Front and start helping your patients
I
dodge a
think I
lifetime of
think
dental
we
work
need
today.
to jump into this. I want to spend so much time on this because no one is leading dental medical integration more than Steve. I mean, PDS Health was the first people that I knew that said, we're going to have dentists and we're going to have doctors right next to each other. So when did that idea come about, Steve? How did this come to you? When did you say, we're going to finally make this a priority? We're going to put the money into it. I just want to hear that story, and then we
So
can go even
how
deeper
long
into
do
the
I have
topic.
to tell you the whole
'Cause
story? So I'm gonna
we've got
I need to
45
figure out, do I give
minutes.
you the Reader's Digest version or do I give you the long story?
Well, we love this topic. I mean, this is a topic that Christian, Ingrid, and I always talk about. We know it's a big future. We're all big believers. We're all involved in research on this. I mean, we love this stuff. So
Yeah. And me too, me too. As a non-clinician, I'm intense on the research and the science, and I love it just as much as you guys, even though you guys all have the degrees. Um, I love it too. So I'll give you since we have time, I'll give you a little bit of the longer story. The longer story is, it was 2006, having lunch with my mom in Newport Beach. Okay, at was it a cafe right there in Newport, and we were just doing our normal get together, and her and my dad had gotten a divorce, so that was a whole nother part of the stress and strain of running your own practice and watching all that, and my mom dealing with that, and my dad stressed about that back in the days. So that was part of my upbringing, right? Watching all that. Which also led me to believe in the business model, by the way. But so we're having, and she had just been to the cardiologist that morning. Cardiologist told her, hey, all good. My CAC score was 0. He said my heart did all the standard tests. He said you're going to probably live to be 100. Her mom was 90 at the time, and 3 weeks later she was dead. Dropped dead of a heart attack. Okay.
wow. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, oh my goodness is right. So it started me on this journey. It took a year or two, and I went to the Mayo Clinic and I did all my studies and standard
Yeah.
stuff, right?
How old was she at the time?
She was only 65.
Wow.
Oh
Yeah, I
my
lost my
God.
mom at 65. So, but it started me on this journey to learn about what happened. And so I went and I got a little bit of help from Mayo Clinic, a bit about genetics, and they basically told me, look, just stick with the Mediterranean diet, stick working out. I was always working out. I'd worked out since I was 10 years old, and you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be great. But something didn't sit well. It didn't, and I wanted to learn more. And I started studying a little bit more about cardiovascular disease and all that, just learning. And the more I was reading, the more I saw in the research, in the data, was this connection to oral health. Okay. And I grew up in a family of docs. My grandfather was a dentist, graduated Harvard in 1939. My father was a dentist, graduated UOP 1966. Two of my brothers are dentists, one GP, one a periodontist. Yet we had never talked about the connection between oral health and overall health around the dinner table or events or whatever. It just wasn't ever talked about.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. But and then I started reading some of the Surgeon General reports and more, and I just started studying. 2015, I go, there's something here. I need to learn more. I put together a internal task force. I wasn't on the task force because I wanted to see if this was real or if this was all just,
Some bias.
the biased or the full right wing or left wing, whichever side, trying to get creative, right? And and I had MDs on it. I had a bunch of people you probably know in the industry on it. And they came back with a report to me and said, no, Steve, this stuff is very real. This is
When was that?
That was
2015.
2015. So then I go, okay, I'm onto something. Fast forward to 2016, I hired a marketing firm because I figured, okay, if I'm going to start steering my company this way, there's patients have to perceive, patients have to want it. And is there a market for it? Just the business, the way my brain works, can I create a business around this? And they came back after about 9 months, said, sure as heck, patients get it. They love it. The problem you're going to face is the clinicians.
Hmm.
And sure enough, that has been the big problem we've faced, right? But it again started me on the next journey going, okay, if I want to head towards dental medical integration, what we later coined, we'll trademark the name mouth-body connection. So every time you guys use that, you owe me a nickel, okay?
Deal.
At least in the U.S. We have it worldwide. But down dental medical integration, the oral systemic link, right? Back then, that was the common language, was I couldn't do it with our current electronic dental record.
Yeah.
Right? Because when I did my first alpha with a physician and a dentist in one office, we did pretty good, but it was by pure muscle. It was unscalable. Couldn't scale it that way. And so we started this process to look at what's out there that can get dentists and their medical counterparts to talk in the same language. Because we talk, I come from the dental side, right? So we talk in a different language than all my physician friends. They all work in one code system. Dentists are the only healthcare providers that have their own coding system and their own way to do things. And it's kind of crazy when you think about it. We work with insurance, so you guys probably don't work with insurance that much, but we do. And so this language barrier I had to break, and I had to make sure that the clinicians were all looking at the same clinical data, same health history, the same meds, the same previous doctor visits, and all family history, the same genetics if we could get them, which is a whole nother topic. But that led us to moving over to Epic.
And what year did you guys change to Epic?
We started March 1st. This is a crazy date. I've had all these crazy things in my life. We started the rollout March 1st, 2020. Think what else was going on in March?
Wow.
Well, I remember, Steve, I remember when I was meeting with the PDS people at the early days of Pearl. We were meeting in Orange County.
Mhm.
And I remember them being like, we're doing this big change in our company, or we're changing to a different practice management system. And they told us about this, is that we're going to Epic.
Mhm.
And from an AI standpoint, we got so excited because you guys were really the first people that were finally going to have all the medical data, all the dental data together. And that is like a feast for all of us AI data nerds.
Yeah.
And you're the first ones to do it.
And we do now. We have a data lake like you wouldn't believe now that we've had it implemented. But it took us 2 years or so to get the wisdom off the shelf. Product from Epic isn't designed for a company of our size and our complexity and our scale and all that. So it took us, hats off to my IT team. I mean, they did it to perfection. Like, what is it, 6 sixes or whatever, where they get it near perfect. When we moved it all the data over, it was like near perfect. So
wow, that's great.
Yeah, so and then we began the roll out, roll in, however you want to call it, and that took a couple years because it's a change for all these providers. And I had a lot of hate mail from the dentists.
So currently, tell me how it is. There's a dental office here and there's a medical office next door? Is it the same front office? The same front office.
Not every one, because we did buy a small medical group in Arizona, and so they have some of the standalones. But no, if you look at all the ones we've developed, you walk into one reception area, and on this side is your medical, on this side your dental, and you all go back in, and then the back's all connected. So it's one team. It's led by one operations manager too.
And is your vision to develop all of your dental practices to have a medical practice as part of it?
Oh my gosh, I can't wait, because the power is amazing. Look at our Google scores from patients; they love it. You look at the quality of care we're able to improve. I mean, just think if a patient walks in to your practice, Kyle, and their blood pressure is 160 over 100, and right now you talk to them, you say you got to go see your physician or your cardiologist or whatever. What these docs get to do is walk down and grab the physician or nurse practitioner right then and start talking to them. Engage right there. A1C, you mentioned A1C, same thing. It's like, I got an email from one of my docs down in Tucson the other day. So the Arizona deal we have, and he's like, Steve, this A1C ability to do that and get paid for it, right? It's game changing for my practice.
Steve, I got a question. I heard someone speak and they said, the dental market is, I don't know, 250 billion right now, and it's going to go to 400 billion in the next 2 years or something. And what they were saying was they believe that a lot of that growth comes from doing a lot of the triage from the medical community. Is this something that you agree with? Because they're seeing us more?
Well, I can give you some data about that.
Sure.
Okay. So especially the nurse practitioners, but MDs are getting better at it, and DOs especially are a little better at it than MDs, just because of the training, right? So they are really good at referring to the dentist when they have been properly trained on how to do a proper visual oral exam and how to talk about oral health. They are great. And when they make a referral, and they do refer over, on average, 30% of their patients that come in through the primary care office, 30% get referred to one of our dentists because they don't have a current dental provider.
Oh, wow.
Or we refer them back to their other dentist. We don't steal patients, okay?
Yeah.
So 30% get referred over. Of those, the show rate is really high.
Of course.
Okay.
Mhm.
Because they were told about the connection between oral health and overall health. Then their follow through on treatment, getting the care they need, is the highest of any group of patients. It's actually almost double, not quite double the average patient. So if you look at the data from Delta Dental, they'll tell you that roughly 25% of diagnosed dentistry gets done. That's been kind of standard for 30 years, right? Because of money, time, fear, pain, whatever, right? With integrated care, and I believe a lot of this is from having Epic and being able to talk about the mouth-body connection. Our average dentist is about 36% care delivery without diagnosis change. That's not like we're not, and also if your diagnosis goes up, the amount you do actually drops on average. We call it percent served. So we're at 36%. The average patient referred from one of the in-house physicians or nurse practitioners does 56% of their care.
Wow.
We're doing much better job taking care of their overall oral health and their overall health.
Do you believe this has, I have my thoughts on this, but I want to get yours. Do you believe that it's because people respect their doctor more than their dentist?
I don't believe that. I believe that all the things we're doing are having an impact on patients' willingness to invest in their oral health. So like Pearl, okay, take that as an example. Pearl AI helps patients understand the connection better.
There's an extra factor on that question, Kyle, I believe. There's a perception that if you don't take care of your mouth, you're going to lose a tooth. If you don't take care of your health, you may die. So when the guy that is taking care of you not dying says, you better check your mouth, It's different than a dentist saying, look, if you don't take care, you may lose 1 or 2 teeth.
That's a great point, Christian.
And
So
it helps. It's just another. I wouldn't. So it definitely impacts. I mean,
yes.
we have the results. We have a couple years of results to prove that those numbers I gave you are pretty consistent over the last 2 years. That's not like last month. We're actually getting better. It all has to do with that referral process, right? And then a lot of education and how either the dentist talks to the patient about going to the oral surgeon, or how the physician talks to the patient about the importance of oral health to their diabetes or their cardiovascular disease or their early onset dementia. So it's good. And the other thing that's really working is saliva science. I am absolute passionate believer, diehard, that saliva science needs to be part of every dentist, and over on the physician sides, their daily or their protocol.
Completely agree. So minimally invasive too.
I was actually at the Tuscany Dentognostic event that you spoke online. You were planning to come, then you didn't
I couldn't
come.
make it right.
You gave your lecture online. I was there watching, and I also talked there. And I agree with you. There's probably so much to learn about, the saliva. And
It's gonna boom. There's right now we're doing the AMMPA because we can measure collagen breakdown, and patients' engagement in their care is through the roof with that. It's amazing. And then you talk about the business side a little bit. Okay. So a lot of people talk about the hygienist shortage out there in America. We have no hygienist shortage. And I believe part of it's because of AMMPA, because patients are more,
Motivated.
they're going to engage more, and they're more likely to get the care they need. And so their
the
productivity.
team probably feels more proud of what they're doing, right?
Totally. And what we need is chairside bacteria testing. And so we've invested in a couple companies to get chairside bacteria testing that's really good, especially P. gingivalis or FN and those sort of things, because the science is crystal clear.
Now, all of the things that you're talking, and you're probably incorporating all kinds of cool stuff to really empower that first appointment, that initial exploration, I would say, systemic exploration. We are talking about prevention, trying to anticipate the problem, reverse problems, tell me about your definition of prevention, because when we talk about prevention in dentistry, every dentist is like, oh, I've been doing that. I have a hygienist and I've been doing prevention. I said, no, that's not the type of prevention that we are talking about. So I would love to learn your definition of what the future of prevention in dentistry should become.
Okay, so there's a couple words we use. We use prevention, and we use predictive, and then we use precision. Okay, so it's a waterfall, right? So preventive. Well, let's take AMMP8 as an example. Okay, 28-year-old walks in. They seem to have healthy gums. Everything looks pretty good. They're 28, and this could be me. Okay, I have every bad gene where I am hypersensitive to inflammatory response. Okay, I have all the bad genetics. Thank you, mom and dad. You got the bad stuff from each of them. 28 come in, everything looks fine, typical patient, but their AMMP8 score is a 90. They've got active collagen breakdown, which is beginning signs of either gingivitis or periodontal disease, right? Yet the typical practice would never know that. And we can engage those patients early on so they don't go down that path and then get periodontal disease. Periodontal disease is the most common chronic inflammatory disease in the world. And it affects so much of our body. The mouth is seriously, it's truly the gateway to our overall health, right? And so that's one example. Another one is some family history and genetics, right? I was at a meeting a couple years ago at an Epic meeting, okay? And somebody asked Judy Faulkner, who's the creator of Epic, and they said, what's the biggest thing that's going to change healthcare in the future? She said, genomics. She didn't stutter at all. Genomics. I mean, we have to know our genetic profile. Like I'm an
Yeah.
ApoE34 gene type. I have haptoglobin 1-2, and I have elevated IL-6. Okay. How many people know that?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Your
And
blind spots.
what?
You see your blind spots.
You see it, but
Mhm.
I'm trying to get all our dentists educated on just a basic panel of inflammatory markers. Basic, like we haven't rolled it out. We're testing it. It's in beta. You guys would love it, given that what you're into. You have this patient dashboard, so we pull in all that medical data and dental data, and we put it in one dashboard for the clinician. And my vision is that the clinician, whether you're a physician or dentist, and the patient, you're all looking at the same information. Nothing behind the scenes, nothing where the physician goes to another room or the dentist goes to another room to analyze stuff. No, it's all right there.
Your challenge is to train dentists to
Yeah.
learn how to interpret this information, right? Because you're giving up the technology, you're collecting the data, you're investing on the technology that is generating this data. Now we need dentists that can look at this and start to
Right.
make decisions.
And I have a bunch that they're very knowledgeable, they do a great job, but the vast majority aren't. Okay.
It's what you said at the beginning, that's your biggest bottleneck is getting the dentist to adopt.
And the physicians trained. The physicians are ramping quicker, by the way, on oral health because they only have to focus on one thing. Super
Right.
simple, right? For them. And then make the referral. But what we're doing, Christian, I'm trying to make it dummy proof where you hover over like your F2 isoprostane and it'll tell you what that means. Because no clinician, I learned this in 1989, no clinician ever wants to look stupid in front of a patient, ever.
Yeah.
Right. And so we want to make it dummy proof, and you just hover over it or you can click on it. And then what we're doing is we're tying it into all the longitudinal data. So we can measure like your A1C, and you click on A1C and it would show your trends over however many times it's done because it can pull from the medical record too.
Going off of that, I'm the AI data nerd here.
Yeah.
I heard you say predictive.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing you're taking this data and you're creating predictive analytics so that we don't even have to wait for it to happen. We can prevent it by predicting what's going to happen. Right. Can you expand on what you guys are doing there and what you think the future is with that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where Pearl's at on like 3D AI. Let's take.
Yeah, we just got FDA approval.
Okay, perfect. You need to be talking to my guys. So, take bone loss.
Last week or 2 weeks ago or something.
Okay, good. So take bone loss, right? We can measure bone loss, right? And if you can measure it over time, and you can say, Steve, look, you had 60% bone loss or 40% bone loss here. You're now at 50% bone loss, and it's only been 2 years, and you haven't been coming in for your scaling root planing and taking care of all your periodontal disease. That's why eventually your teeth are going to start falling out. That's the idea, and being able to have that predictive data. That's one example. But also the genetics. I come back to genetics and genomics too.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, of course, technology will start to generate these trends that will be translated into graphics and visuals and percentages and things that will be very easy.
Right onto the phone.
Yep.
Makes it digestible for the patient.
Yeah.
Yep. And
Steve's going to be the one that has all this data too, because let's say even if, like at Pro, we have FDA approval for 3D AI, right? Even if we had all of that data, it's not that amazing unless you cross-reference it with what's happening in the panel, right? In that dashboard that you're talking about. You're taking the probing depths, the HbA1c, you're taking the genetics, you're taking the diet, right? Then we really can start getting predictive and say, listen, I found 50,000 patients just like you, and this is what happened to them over the last 10 years. I mean, that's when we can really get predictive and preventive.
Think about something just like what you said there with just diabetes. We can be able to say we've had 50,000 patients that started at a 7.2, and they've followed through on their scaling root planing on a good regimen for whatever 2 years, and here they drop down to what's a good score? 4.7, 4.6,
Yeah.
right?
That was my next question. Are you already seeing impact on general health
Oh,
of your
yeah.
patient?
Yeah. We have enough data now from full implementation to look at that data. It's pretty cool.
Yes.
Wow.
Especially around diabetes, it's pretty stinking cool. At worst, we do a good job at helping them manage their diabetes. At
Yeah.
worst,
Not getting worse, right? Right in front of your eyes.
correct.
You mentioned the correlation between periodontal disease and systemic disease, right?
Right.
Do you believe that misaligned teeth contribute to periodontal disease?
Well, I would be a good example. I think I showed you my lowers when we were in Germany, right? And so yes, I absolutely believe in that. And I believe
Okay.
in the function, right? I absolutely believe in what you're doing. Especially in your world. And I was honest with you. I was in Invisalign for 4 years, and I was moderate in my compliance. And thus my result wasn't great.
There's more factors than just that. So my next question
Yeah,
for you,
probably.
because obviously you guys are at the forefront of prevention. What percentage of your patients get orthodontics?
I'd have to get back to you, but we have a robust orthodontic program. We have a lot of I think we have 200 plus orthodontists in the group. We have a
Wow.
big children's program. Probably of that 1.6 billion, I'd say half a billion is children, so under 18, right? Either pedo
Wow.
or ortho. But what we've seen in the kids, the orthodontists have gone back to bands and brackets for the kids for compliance purposes. And then late teenagers, 20s, 30s, and on up are going big on them in Invisalign and Spark. We use Spark. We don't tell a doc what to do. We have contracts with Invisalign and Spark.
Yeah. And what percentage of adult patients with misalignment do you think should get orthodontics?
You'd be better answering that question than I would. That seems a little clinical for me. I have no idea.
Now, are you also into prevention in the airway area?
Oh, you took my question,
Okay,
Christian. I
so
was
we
going to ask
do.
that.
We have a sleep expert in one of our dentists is a sleep expert, Dr. Ashley Spooner out of Colorado. And I'll tell you, it's hard to make it work financially unless you're 100% dedicated to sleep. And
It's good feedback.
it's in our medical history, okay, to talk about snoring, and there's other things in the medical history so that the dentist can talk about it. And we have explored over the last 5 years many different ways. I actually just got a new one the other day for me to test because I periodically, actually she treated me for a while, so it's pretty much gone away, my sleep apnea. But anyway, but it's hard because you have to work with the physician. But now that we have the integrated practice, we're trying to figure out how we can refer to one of our physicians, get it back, and provide the advice. Reimbursement isn't that great. It's hard.
Steve, I think where Airway is going is to be more dental driven, meaning you actually have the perfect way to do it, meaning either the dentist or the physician is detecting it. It's being diagnosed by the physician, but then many times being treated by the dentist with orthodontic surgery, expansion,
Right.
tongue tie. So from a financial standpoint, I really think it should be very, advantageous
It
for the
can,
dental world.
and I think so, and that's why we keep at it and keep training and educating. Just when you're working on our scale and trying to drive change, it's really hard. Like even implementing a simple saliva test, in-office saliva test,
Crazy. Yeah.
it's hard.
Huh?
Yeah, you have 12,000 people you're managing to try to
In
change that.
in the saliva
14,000 in the dental offices right now.
in the saliva test event that you were lecturing, your team was talking about the challenges of implementation of any system when it comes to prevention, even more difficult. So I totally understand. We have a hard time owning one practice and changing one practice. Can you imagine 1,000 practices?
Right.
I just-
And you know, in a perfect world, would I love every one of my dentists? Okay, on that, I agree with you, Kyle. It's going to go towards the dentist, right? Would I love every one of them to be experts at sleep and understand it fully? Yes, I would. I mean, the science is clear.
And I think that's where it's going to. I think sleep is becoming a lot more sexy. It's becoming now, I mean, we have like what Jeff Rouse talks about, Airway prosthodontics, which is like you're still doing veneers, you're still doing crowns, you're still doing whatever restorative treatment you're going to do, but you're doing it with what's happening with the patient breathing, right? Let's make them better. Let's turn them into a better person to sleep.
the real trend is to go back to the babies, right? We're talking about 1 year, 2 years, 3 years old.
For sure.
Where that's the real meaning of prevention in this topic. You know, if you're
Yeah, you're right. Doing
genetics,
what I did to my son.
and you're talking about systemic prevention to genetics, when it comes to airway, it means that you need to go back into 2, 3, 4, 5 years old when every orthodontist is saying makes no sense to do
Wait till they're 12. Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's when the new dentistry will come in and say, let's help this development and avoid the problems later.
The forward thinkers like you guys are in top 5%. Okay, forward thinkers, and we've got to also. I mean, my job, I have to manage to the middle really as best I can. You know, we brought on. I'll give you some numbers here. We brought on, I think, last year, 400 of the graduating dentists from dental schools around the country. I think we brought on the most.
Wow.
You know, they're not trained that way in dental school, right?
No.
And then they come out, the average school debt is over 300,000 now, 310, 315. They're worried about how they pay their debt, how they get settled. They're still learning how to, you know, get their speed up to get productive enough to make a living. And so there's all that. And once they get through that, then they start, it's like one of the deans told me, look, we give you a license to learn now. You get the license. Your
I like
license
that.
is a license to learn.
I like that.
And so we can't
smart.
start. Some of them jump in, but it's the rare ones.
Yeah,
And the first thing they want to learn is implants. That's the first thing right now.
of course.
And then they start evolving to where their sweet spot is. So
Yeah.
some of these things, I love it that you guys are doing it because we need people like you out there pushing. But then it's hard for us to implement some of that
100% understand.
cutting edge stuff, right?
I know we only have about 10 more minutes, so I want to talk about the elephant in the room. If we are doing all this prevention, hopefully this will mean we're doing less dentistry, right? That would be our goal. I know everyone on this call would be doing maybe not less dentistry, less reactive dentistry. What are your thoughts on, everyone's talked about value-based care for the last 10 years. Is it a real thing that dentists and physicians can get paid for keeping their patients healthy instead of doing more implants or
That's
doing
where
more
it's
crowns?
headed. That's what we're betting on. I think we will be part of value-based care plans, especially in the periodontal disease area, but also in tooth abscess area and other areas that can affect. I mean, think of a tooth abscess, or it's right here. And I have a personal physician, and one of his biggest worries for his elderly patients is a tooth abscess. Why? Because if that thing blows up, it's only got to go to there before they drop dead of a stroke. And value-based care plans get paid based on keeping people healthy. And so I believe, and we're seeing it actually, by the way, we will be pulled in to that system. Now, am I saying all dentists are going to be taking risk and the risk profile and all that? No, not at all. But there's a whole nother world out there of Medicare Advantage patients. We're going to see a 50% increase in seniors in America. And this is in most industrialized countries, 50% increase in seniors in America in the next 14 years. Those are the biggest consumers of care. We're only going to see a 2% increase in kids in the next 14 years, okay? 50% of seniors. So yes, I'm I'm betting the farm on it. I absolutely believe we will play a key role in helping people remain healthier. Now, do I believe with your statement we're going to do less dentistry? No, I don't, because humans don't change that fast. Honestly, in our lifetimes, there's going to be plenty of crowns, plenty of root canals, plenty of implants, plenty of orthodontics,
Yeah.
plenty to do.
We hope that dentistry is happening because of accidents instead of happening because of maybe
Neglect.
neglect, right?
Yeah. I
But I
mean,
agree.
it's kind of like if there's been change, right? There has been change. Like take smoking, less people smoke, right? At least in the United States. And I think there is more in our world. I am seeing more awareness of the mouth body connection. Patients get it and they love it. They get that oral health is connected to their overall health. Does that change overnight? No, but can we make a change over the next 15, 20 years? Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, it's just like what you said with smoking, right? I was just thinking, yeah, things have changed. It's taken 25 years, really, but it has changed
That'll
huge.
change. And what
Mhm.
we're seeing right now in nutrition, right? We're seeing a massive change in nutrition, whether you put it up to the
Huge.
GLPs or just there's a big pushback against processed food, right? We're
Especially over the
starting to see that.
past 5 years.
We know that, and I'm not saying that I agree or not. I'm saying DSOs in general, they bring a stigma.
Yeah.
That still today, very negative. And if you talk to dentists in general, they have a sensation, a perception that DSO is not good for dentistry in general. And of course, I want to see your answer to this perception.
Yeah. So I've battled that stigma for over 30 years. Okay. And I'd like to believe we've proven that there can be really good DSOs that support dentists in a great way, and they can have a great life, and do really well financially, and also do great care along the way through our provision of all the support services that we provide. I mean, it'd be pretty hard for any dentist to get the level of support services that we provide and the ability for them to make. I put our numbers up on financially speaking of what they can make up against anybody. I'd give our clinical oversight up against any independent because there is zero oversight of independent practices. I think it's been one of the biggest flaws of the American Dental Association, or I call it the American Dentist Association here in the United States. And we, at any minute, I can get data with my clinical advisory board, my national clinical council. We can get the information on any dentist, and we can find the oddballs out there really fast. And so, and we know exactly who's doing great dentistry and who's not, and we can help those. So I think it's all about what you're after. I've always told my team, my goal has never been to be the biggest. It's always to be the best. Always to be the best. We want to be the Mayo Clinic, so to speak, of oral health. Okay. I have always told my team, if we're really great, we will be one of the biggest. But my goal is not to be the biggest, but to be great. And I want that to be on my my resume when I finally hang up my cleats. That hey, we did change things, and this integrated. Let's be real. I could have sold a couple of years ago for a lot of money and never. I could be living in Mallorca the rest of my life, right? But I wanted to do what I saw is that dentistry shouldn't be separated from everybody else and siloed anymore. You need to be part of patients' overall health, and they are a key player, if not the key player, in patients' primary care.
I think it's really interesting and important that you brought up the oversight because it's true. It's who's overseeing the patient's care. So I remember my question is actually the flip side of Christian's question, which is that we talk a lot about, I mean, the name of our podcast, right? The Happy Dentist is it's all helping dentists be fulfilled, be happy. Do you think that it's possible for a single practice owner to be fulfilled and be happy and do great work without the services that someone like PDS Health provides?
Absolutely, I do. But it's getting harder and harder and harder. And you will have all the same services. I mean, Kyle, you practice it, right? You will have all the same services. You're going to have to deal with tech. You're going to have to deal with billing collections, your revenue cycle management. You're going to have to deal with insurance. You're going to have to deal with your risk. You're going to have to deal with HR, all your payroll. You have all that. You have to. So it's just, where do you want to get those services? And then what other value do we create? So for our world, the integrated model is what's attractive. Now, it's hard. Both are hard work. It's a great question, and there has been. It was on one of our leadership calls this morning. There's slippage right now in how hard dentists want to work. It's not the same as it was 15 years ago. They come out and only want to work 4 days a week. It's pretty odd. Just invested 4 years of life and $500,000 or whatever. And 15 years ago, they were working 5-6 days a week to get cranking. So we'll see how it all shakes out. I mean, the way I think about it, if they want to have a nice financial life, have a decent home, be able to travel, eat at nice restaurants, have a nice car, have kids, send them to the schools they want, whatever, that takes money. And so they have to work hard. And I tell my team, hard work works. Hard work is what successful people do.
Yeah.
So they will find that out sooner or later.
Or as Bezos says, you have to work hard and smart. So you might not want to answer this, but would you be willing to share what the median or average dentist at PDS makes?
Oh yeah, our average owner is in the mid 400s. Okay. Average associate low to mid 200s. And then we have a plethora over $1 million a year. And
What does that mean?
That doesn't include their equity.
Oh, you have some dentists that make over $1 million a year.
Oh yeah, lots.
Okay, super cool. I mean, listen, I think I talk to all of us, I'm sure, talk to dentists all day that are like so anti-DSOs. So I think it's really important for people to hear that you can make a lot of money and have the support that you need to not be drowning in all the other stuff that people do nights and weekends. So super, super cool. Christian, did you have another question before we hop?
Do you think all major DSOs are on the same positive right path?
You can't ask me that. You can't ask me that question. Come on, that's unfair.
Answer.
Yeah, I think, how about this? I'm very biased, and I think we're the best.
Yep, that's a good answer.
Good answer.
And that's what your internal team says too, which is it's what says it all, right? You know, and that's what your team, when people believe in what your team is saying.
We are very clinician-centric. We are our belief statement and number one belief is patients pay our salaries, because ultimately we're serving your customers, your patients, right? But we don't view them as our customers. You guys are our customers. Dentists, we're out to make a great life. We're, at the end of the day, we're a platform play. So we help people build great businesses. Great businesses. We got lots of them. Not everyone's perfect, but of the 1,100, I'd say we probably have 900 of them that are great, 950 that are great. And then we also help people build great careers. I mean, I started as one person. We're over 16,000 people today. So I think we've impacted a lot of lives.
Steve, this has been really, really cool. I know all of us love this topic, and I think that the listeners are really going to be surprised and I think hopeful listening to this. So
Good.
we appreciate you taking the time.
Very positive message. We need that.
I'm very bullish on our profession right now. We're in the golden age of dentistry right now. You guys are helping lead this. We're in the golden age. The next 15, 20 years are going to be absolutely spectacular.
It's going to be
I
amazing.
agree.
Steve, thank you so much. And congratulations on everything you've done in this industry. You are a rock star.
Thank you very much.